And the round has been restarted, and ladies and gentlemen, after much prevaricating around the bush and much air filling.
Prevaricating?
Prevaricating.
I've never heard that word before. What's that even mean?
I've no idea. Anyway.
You're just making words up now, aren't you?
Yeah, why not?
You so are. I've never heard that ever. I'm well educated. Well, I say well educated.
How can you be well educated? You come from the north.
If you inhale burnt books, doesn't that mean you take in their essence and understanding? No?
And that was me thinking you were raised on a diet of pies and whippets, but never mind. Anyway.
Okay. Maybe I'm wrong then.
Wow. Never
warmed me up though.
Yeah, I can say it did actually. And look, it looks like the Chinese jet is up in the air.
Again?
Yep. Don't know what's going on with that.
Oh, both of them are. So there we go.
Here we go, jet on jet. And I think it's fair to say that, ladies and gentlemen, finally, after match faffing, we are now live. So let's see what happens as the two jets may begin a tussle very soon, and the points in the process of being captured.
Instantly off the bat, there's a big difference between the two teams here, as Exertus are not using two people in their chopper. They are using two people in their chopper, and they use one of them straight away to chop off onto B. Meanwhile, Aussie for Brutality Corps is soloing his chopper.
Okay, so we're now watching Rickson Sharps, who's at the C point with that lovely tank of his, and is waiting for any inevitable push that we're going to see as a few explosions coming in onto him. He's deflecting those. There we go. Tank coming in from, let's see, that's a Deco DK. He's having a fight with him, and he unfortunately does not have the reactive armour that is required in order to compete with him on any kind of serious level. But he's under fire from multiple directions. As you can see, Rickson Sharp there, unfortunately, I think running down one of his teammates, now deciding to back off from the C point as a serious amount of pressure was coming in. Oh, that, ladies and gentlemen, looked to be possibly a laser guided missile coming from one of the planes. So
this is going to give Exertus a C flag, and right now a solo push onto D, which has just been cleared up. But this is going to give Exertus the ticket bleed, and a good start by them as they managed to force away Brutality Corps tanker. And yeah, taking the critical C point and knocking the bleed onto the Polish team.
Indeed, yes. Now, let's just see what's going on. So you can see A, B and C currently owned by the US, and D and E owned by China. And there's Phantom, and he looks like he's one of the infantrymen who's going to be moving on to the various points. You can see him trying to engage some of the Chinese troops. And you can see him now moving in towards the hospital, stealing the medical supplies and getting ready to try and capture that point. See him getting engaged. There we go. A little bit of fire coming in on Phantom. He's having to take cover. As you can see there, he's having a massive firefight with two guys. He's going to have to chuck himself, but it looks like he's set up not necessarily as a medic, possibly as an engineer. Oh, there we go. Smart play there. Rickson Sharp gets taken down, but one of the other Chinese, I think it was yeah, it was Brutality Corps MWN, whoops-a-daisy. He gets shot from behind, but now you can see the Chinese team, while Phantom went in through the front, you saw that two guys circled round the back and are now pushing on towards that point, but Bartes 3000, or 300 I should say, Bartes 300 got taken down pretty quickly, and now you can see the D point being recaptured in favour of the Chinese team. You can see them in there trying to capture that point. There's E-Man PL, and poor old MWN died nearby. But there is a tank pushing that hospital area, and also them providing a spawn point for the US team to spawn upon. So, looking interesting thus far, wouldn't you say?
Yes, Chadman, it's really interesting. Unfortunately for the Brutality Corps guys, they have been down a man for the last minute. I think he's just got back in the game, it's Quaker. But anyway, Exertus are really making their presence felt. They won the tank exchange at C. They managed to push that advantage by putting their tanker into D. This also led into basically an overwhelming attack which Brutality Corps couldn't really do anything about. This is obviously the worst possible situation you can be in for Brutality Corps, because the ticket bleed has been against them now basically almost from the start of the game. So that ticket bleed now is getting so significant that they are almost half of their tickets down compared to the US side. They're starting to make a play for flags like B and C, which is what they need to do at this point, but they really should have maybe reacted with one guy scouting out to go for an undefended flag, especially when Exertus were throwing down everything they had onto D.
Yeah, it's looking that way at the moment as I'm watching the two jet planes having a tussle in the air. Pretty serious loopy-de-loop and circling, as you can see. Maybe see an Immelman turn in there or something, you never know, you might be lucky. But it looks like the Chinese player is actually getting the better of the American pilot. Now that's Chuddycom who is currently doing that, but no, he then gets shot down, taken down by the enemy helicopter, and that was a pretty important play, as now we're looking the Chinese team pushing in towards the B point. And let's see if we can find out what's going on. So you can see the C point currently being contested, the E point also being contested at the same time. But the bleed is pretty seriously onto Brutality Corps at the moment. Not looking good for them as far as they're concerned. Let's find out, as you can see Quaker moving away from his point, as you can see there. And we're looking at King Revo from Exertus trying to capture that point. Making sure he's going to get that point. And looking
King
to see
Revo and Bertus managed to hold on to C point when they were being completely surrounded there by Brutality Corps members. Their tank was tied down at B, and that was really important. If they'd lost out on that point, then Brutality Corps would have been able to set up a very good defence and really be able to pin down Exertus' tank. But it looked like they'd been shut down eventually, so C is going to fall while Exertus are putting all their pressure on defending A, and this could be the opportunity that Brutality Corps need.
Yeah, it's looking that way at the moment, as you can see Lemoniacs in there, as well as Rickson. Oh, taking down two members of Exertus as they try to push in towards the C point, coming from the D point. But any minute now, the Exertus tank is going to pay a visit to the C point, and it looks to be that way. It is Deco DK, he's in there, and he looks to be trying to engage those guys. Taking down one member of Brutality Corps. The RPGs go flying past, doing some damage. The tank now has to back off, and it looks like the Brutality Corps have defended that C point quite effectively and are now moving to try and recapture the D point. And let's wait and see how things turn out for them. Dogbert.
King Revo here is searching for a kill. I don't think he quite knows that a Brutality Corps member is right behind him. And they managed to exchange kills, so that's exactly what Exertus need right now, because it looks like they're putting the right amount of pressure onto A, so they're going to hold 3 flags here, possibly. Oh, as I say that goes completely against what I said, and Brutality Corps' infantry have managed to capture A. I'd like to bring attention, really, to DDK, because Daiso DDK, because he has just been manning this tank from the start of the game until now, and hasn't lost his tank at all, hasn't lost the tank exchanges, and really has just been a massive thorn in the side of Brutality Corps.
It's looking that way. Now obviously we can move down the side here, so we can see it now looks like Deco's taking some fire from the helicopter. The helicopter looking the leopard color, leopard spotted helicopter, or the leopard camo, very similar to what you saw on World War II for the Luftwaffe. And you can see now Deco there popping out very quickly just to get a quick spot repair on his tank, and now looking to recapture that A point, get the bleed back onto the Chinese team with 53 tickets remaining for the Chinese team, 180 tickets for Exertus, looking pretty good as far as they're concerned, and a very dominant display from Exertus on this map thus far, wouldn't you say, Dogbert?
That's true, but Brutality Corps are starting to get back into this game now, and they're starting to do it in all the correct ways. Whenever Exertus have been putting too much effort to capture one flag, they've been spreading out. And that's exactly what they need to do, because they can't really sit here and go toe-to-toe, stand and bang with Exertus with this many tickets as a deficit. So they really need to get in there, play smart, don't engage unless they are sure they will win, and just let the ticket bleed do what they need and get back to an even footing with Exertus here.
I'm currently watching E-Man PL going toe-to-toe with Deco, and finally getting taken down, but he was trading blows with that tank pretty effectively, to the point where they've now got 2 engineers in that tank, and so they actually basically had to hop out, get that tank repaired. So he did a wonderful job of just a single man holding up that tank at the B point, meaning that it couldn't actually push forward to the C point, which is now where Brutality Corps have actually got themselves a few men, engineers, and a tank moving up onto the point. Let's see who this is. This is Phantom taking a shot to the face, very nasty, in his lovely blue and painted ATV, but unfortunately he wasn't able to get back. Now this is an opportunity that Brutality Corps are looking for. Rickson Sharp coming in against the Americans, and you can see there now, unfortunately, he has his rear facing to the tank. As you see them trying to get back onto the rear, and there we go, down goes the American tank, and Rickson Sharp also then taken down as well. But the thing that they're doing there is that they're keeping the attention focused by Exertus as Phantom gets taken down very quickly. And look at that, literally this one man, MWN, holding up almost 4 members, along with obviously Rickson coming in the tank, holding up members of Exertus to a point where they can't actually afford that. I mean, they've got 103 tickets, and now the bleed is quite seriously against them.
It is indeed. Unfortunately, Exertus have lost a player, but then again, so did Brutality Corps at the beginning of the game. I am questioning the use of a gunner in the chopper by Exertus here, especially at the point when they are desperately in need of getting as many people as they can on the flags. I don't think it's worth sacrificing an extra player in the gunner, especially when they're finding that Brutality Corps are all over them with infantry. They are attacking every flag they possibly can, because they know at this point in the game, but it's not about winning the local battles. It's not about winning any big battles. It's about getting the flag and getting the bleed. And right now, they were behind almost 180 tickets. Now it's 75 to 40.
And
that is a huge reversal.
Look at A. A is about to go, possibly in the favour. We shall wait and see. No, it looks like possibly they're going to have it in the favour of Brutality Corps, and that would have been a full and total cap out against Exertus, and that was quite a surprise. But you can see Brutality Corps now holding that C point. There's nobody defending the C, nobody defending the D, nobody defending the E. Brutality Corps are up close, getting personal and getting into that A point and trying to hold Exertus back, as now it's 42 tickets, 41 tickets, 40, look at that ticking over so fast, and the A point now in the process of being captured by another member of Brutality Corps, and this could be the death knell as far as Exertus are concerned, Dogbert.
It is indeed, and I think Brutality Corps' use of the chopper here is starting to pay dividends for them. Ozzy here is basically flying the chopper by himself. He's never had a gunner, and whenever he does have a gunner, it's for the sole purpose of just dropping out onto a flag. At this point, Exertus really need to just drop in and get as many flags. They need to get the C flag, they need to get the B flag, and hold for dear life, but Brutality Corps are just all over them.
Yeah, not looking good at the moment, as we're looking on Night Wayne as he moves his way up to put on the point, and 36 tickets. That was a turnaround as far as Brutality Corps were concerned. A great play by them, and a completely different strategy as far as they were concerned for against the Exertus. So Exertus, unfortunately, by the looks of it, what was the is that the first round? We've got another round to go, haven't we?
We will have another round to go, and they will switch sides, with Exertus playing the Chinese side. That was absolutely brilliant play by Brutality Corps, as they just managed to hang in there and get the flags they needed. And after that, when they got control of all 5 flags, really Exertus really struggled to get back into that game, and the ticket bleed absolutely wrecked them.
Yeah, that was quite an advantage they had. I think it was 150 or so tickets, I think it was at one point, down to about 40 in literally less than about 5 minutes. And that's how quickly this game can change. Obviously you need to be able to adapt to that particular outcome. And I mean, it's only 36 tickets now. Exertus will have to turn this around. Will they go for a single man in the helicopter as Brutality Core did previously, or will they remain with the same strategy? What do they need to do to turn this around, Dogbert?
I think just getting more men firmly planted on the flag areas is going to be the order of the day for Exertus. They really found themselves short-handed quite a lot of the times when, unfortunately, Brutality just seemed to be all over them. They just were far more spread out. Now, at the beginning of the game, Exertus did a masterful job in the first few minutes, but when Brutality switched up their tactics and started spreading out a lot more, Exertus really struggled to respond.
Indeed they did. Indeed they did. So, let's see what happens on round number 2 between Exertus and Brutality Core. The chopper is up. Two men in the Chinese chopper again, and it looks like they're actually doing...
Not anymore, because they're using them to drop out, which is exactly what they did in the last round. And it's the best way to use the chopper, to be honest, but it is definitely not how Brutality are going to be using their chopper, as it's just Aussie single manning it, Redux style from BF2, and he's just going to come in whenever needed, I think.
Indeed, yes. Now, obviously, I've seen that rather interesting and slightly amusing bug that you get every time you fire a TB missile. Your poor passenger has essentially popped outside the cockpit, so it's getting a little bit cold out there for him. And it's good to see that the US jet is still active, as is the China jet. And it looks like the Chinese jet, there we go, the Chinese jet goes down, the pilot has to bail, and then parachute down possibly onto one of the points. Maybe he can use this to his advantage. We'll have to wait and see. It is, of course, Mr. Nightwayne moving up to that point.
Exertus are doing exactly what they need to do here. They know that Brutality Corps tanker has just been called to support the defence of the flag at B, and what are Exertus doing? They're attacking A and they're attacking C, and they're going to take both of these flags unless there is a very cool and lucky spawn in time, and there isn't. They're going to have to send their tank to A, but the infantry is not going to be enough at C to be able to stop this capture, so the ticket bleed is going to go in Exertus' favour and in the best position they can be right now with E, D and C.
Yeah, now obviously that tank is going to be moving into the A point. Coming in, let's see who that will be on the tank. As you can see, it's Rickson Sharps, of course. He's in there taking a little bit of fire, as now the guys who were taking the C point are engaging the tank with RPG fire. Devastating RPG fire. Rickson Sharps taking down one. More fire coming in, and the second one being taken down. Rickson Sharps managing to survive, and now using his tank to push in towards the C point. As a gunner is also in the position, and you can see those guys now spawning on the A point so they can actually get behind Rickson as he's moving in to try and take that C point, along with his lovely engineers in there to give him a little bit of repairing love and the odd spot weld here and there. TB missile right through the middle, and unfortunately
basically wherever Brutality Corps stick their tank down in Rickson Sharps, they win. He seems to just be a very dominant tanker. I mean, as soon as he got a hold of Dido DDK and he took him down, he was able to basically dictate everything from then on in. He hasn't gone down as of yet, and he seems to be the most dominant factor in the Brutality Corps lineup. Exertus are doing what I said they needed to do, and they're spreading out and they're capturing the flags and letting the ticket bleed do the work for them. But unfortunately, Brutality Corps are well aware of this, and they are trying to do the same. Yeah,
definitely looking that way, as it looks like we're going to see Rickson versus Deco, as looks like Deco there coming in, and unfortunately being taken down by a surprise. There we go, unfortunate ambush there onto Deco. He wasn't able to get very far. His tank is being mullered by the enemy. Oh no, he's had his tank nicked. Oh, Grand Theft tank just occurred, ladies and gentlemen, and it looks like they're going to try and repair his tank to death, and the eventual death of Deco and E-Man PL. And now Rickson Sharp moves on.
If your tank gets stolen in this game, that is huge. Like, seriously, if that ever happened and they lost that tank, that would be game over. The other team would have to do everything in their power to bring down that tank. A tanker's main rule in Battlefield is to never get out of that tank. If it gets stolen, that is almost a GG.
Wow. So there you go. The rules of tanking 101 in competition never get out. So, fortunately for Deco, he was able to actually kill one of his enemy, and the tank was still destroyed, so he didn't manage to lose the tank, which is a good thing. And now Deco's moving away on foot down towards the hospital, and he looks like he's going to also then run into one of his teammates, as we're looking at Phantom also moving in as well. Now, look at that ticket bleed, but A, B, C and D all being contested at this current moment. E not even being touched at the moment, Dogbert.
It's not at all. You're seeing a lot more concerted effort by both teams to contest flags when they know there's going to be no one else there. There's a lot of players who are spreading out. Like this jet is just took off here, and I thought he was going to do something along the lines of capturing a flag, but instead he's hunting down Exertus' chopper, I believe. But as I said, Rickson Sharp, yeah, wherever he seems to go, he seems to win, and he has just took the C flag, or he's going to be on looking to take the C flag. Yeah, they have. And really, Exertus is struggling here. They really need to find themselves a good footing, and they need to be harassing these back flags of B and A. Instead, they seem to be just caught up in little fights that they really should be ignoring.
So Deco is back into his tank and is pushing in against the inevitable bleed that has now occurred onto the Chinese flags, and you can see there D is flashing as well, and they need to get in there because there's not a lot of capping going on as far as China are concerned, and that bleed advantage that they had will not last much longer. And speaking of tanks, it looks like the American tanker, I'm guessing that is of course Rickson Sharp's, now moving back, and you can see I think the enemy tank has been spotted for him, and his now tank on tank action, Deco versus Recon, and unfortunately
God, that was absolutely brilliant play by Brutality Corps, living up to their name as being absolutely brutal. There was an RPG shot in the side, in the rear, and a tank shot right in the turret. I mean, that was an insta-kill as soon as he even attempted to get onto the B flag. Exertus here, using that lull and sacrificing their tank for a major push onto C, but you see, Brutality Corps are reacting according to plan. If someone throws in that many players into a flag and that much into attack, just send one guy to capture another, and that's what they're doing. E is about to go down, and the ticket bleed is not going to be stopped.
Yeah, not a good situation. You can see obviously we're looking at Exertus trying to hold that C point. You do have the flag being investigated, and obviously a little bit of tanky goodness coming on from Rickson Sharps. Like you said, he's proved himself to be a very dominant force on this battlefield, and looks like Barthez has got to watch out. He went in for the quick kill. Now, would it have been smarter for him to have actually stayed there and wait for reinforcements to try and take out that tank? Because at this current moment, as you said before, nobody's really denying that tank to Rickson. Now, could that be something that Exertus maybe need to focus on? Basically, denying Rickson this tank could deny them the armoured pushes that they require in order to hold this map for them.
There really needs to be more of an effort to shut down that tank, because right now Rickson Sharps is causing them so many issues. But at the same time, I'm looking at Exertus and they're spreading out perfectly here to try and cause some issues. But the problem is, wherever Rickson Sharps is going to go with that tank, he's going to cause them a lot of problems unless they want to spawn in a significant amount of infantry. So right now, I would say Exertus really need to get their tank on the field, and they need to get rid of Rickson Sharps, and they need to get rid of them quickly.
Now, that definitely seems to be the case, as obviously you're seeing the action going on around the A point in the process of being captured, the C and D, and you can now see that there's 161 tickets to 128 in favour, oh dear, bit of a team kill there, very unfortunate. And now you can see the A point continuing to be contested by the Chinese team, and we can also see over here another member of Brutality Corps is the Quaker, and he is moving in to try and see if he can take down any members of Exertus. There we go, takes down one. That was Barthez 300, and now he's going to be moving in as one of his other teammates comes in to support him from the other direction. And now you can see the flags being contested in multiple locations.
It all comes down to this attack at sea. If Exertus can get a good foothold here and win, they'll be able to keep this ticket bleed from going way beyond their control. And it all comes down to this, basically.
Yeah, now the thing is, you can see there, you've got a few members, but what I'm waiting for is the inevitable arrival of the tank. There we go. We've got one tank coming in from Deco. Where is the other tank? Where is the American tank? He must have been taken down recently, which is why you can see no armour pushing in on that C point. This is, I would say, Exertus' chance to actually push that advantage of not having that tanker around to actually give them any kind of problems. And if they can just do plain infantry combat and hold that C point against all the oncomers, but now you've obviously got firing from long distance. Oh! Did you see that? The enemy chopper against Exertus, as it was taking fire, as the guys were taking fire on the C point, got absolutely mullered by a missile and blown to smithereens. So we are now looking.
Played brilliant there. I don't know if you noticed, but Phantom and Barthez both detect B, while the tanker and the rest of the infantry were putting their pressure onto C. This spread Brutality quite thin, and they had to react to both. Instead of just deciding to take one or the other, they tried to get both and lost at both. Now they're trying to just spread out and get that ticket bleed off them. But yeah, very well played by Exertus there. They did exactly what they needed to.
Yes, indeed they did. Now, I noticed Rickson Sharp is back up in the tank. Now, I have to say, that was good play there by Exertus to make the most of that lull that was available to them, with Rickson Sharp not being around in the tank. So Exertus did the right thing, as far as you can see. And now, we've got the likes of Bigglesworth, and they are engaging that E point to try and ensure that the bleed stays on them. But you have members of Brutality Corps at D, at C. A is in their hold, B is in their hold, and they really need to turn this around quickly, because then the bleed is going to be back onto the Exertus squad. And you can see Nightwayne has just returned, as he had been disconnected, so that might have been what they were waiting for. But the question is whether or not Deco and friends, as he coming in with a tank, King Revo being taken down, Wilder Aussie also being taken down. We've got to find out what's going on. Where is the enemy tank? The enemy tank looks... I'm not seeing the enemy tank for the Americans anywhere. I'm wondering if he's been finished off recently. And that could indicate a change in approach by Exertus to focus their attention onto the enemy tanker, Dogbert.
I think that they are working out very quickly that they need to deny Rich and Sharp that tank, and it is paying off for them quite well. Unfortunately for Exertus, they do not seem to be getting a good grip on all these flags. What's happening here is Brutality Corps are using players to deny the flag. They don't mind sometimes if the if Exertus gets in there and it is got it grayed out so no one owns it, as soon as they leave the flag thinking no one's there, they just come back in full force and take it. So you're going to have to see exactly how Exertus are going to respond, because right now they are very, very close to going out of the tournament. There is a 36 ticket advantage to Brutality Corps here. So Exertus are going to have to stop the bleed as quick as possible, otherwise they're going to find themselves out of this test cup.
Definitely. Now, one thing I just did notice is combined fire by Brutality Corps and the TV missile from their helicopter took down the tanker for Exertus, and that's going to be a serious problem. However, we're looking at Kotko at the moment. He's in with the helicopter, doing some offensive helicopter work onto those points, and looks like he's marking the E point as the point of reference. So you can see now lots of fire going on, and looks like Deco now trying to capture that other point as the bleed is back onto the Chinese team. These guys need to turn it around. Now I notice here, can you see this? You've got Rickson Sharp at B, you've got Bigglesworth at C, you've got another member Deco at D, and you've also got E being contested at the same time as well. Phantom unfortunately being shut down, and it looks like the E point will remain in the ownership of the United States team. But you can also see then that Nightwayne is in there as well. At the same time, whoops-a-daisy, there's a bad landing there, and you can see that that point is being held and now you can see the points actually starting to switch over, and this could be the change that Brutality Corps are not looking forward for.
For Exertus, they need to get that bleed stopped as soon as they can, otherwise they're in deep trouble. And they've got a hold of C, D and A, and they're going to need to hold it, but more importantly they're going to have to hold it without taking too many casualties. We're talking of 4 tickets in it, less than 4 tickets, 3 tickets in it. They need to do something crazy here. They need to be so defensive while not losing flags. They're 2 tickets away. I don't think they're going to be able to do it. I think Brutality Corps are going to walk through, and here we go. If any ticket drops now, it is over. Will they be able to hold on? They're playing, they're hiding back, they've got the flags, and there we go. Brutality Corps take it. Oh my god, they held on so well. They got the flags they needed, but it's just too little, too late, and it's just unfortunate for the Exertus lineup, finding themselves taken out of a second Test Cup in only a week.
Yeah, very unfortunate for the guys, and you can see obviously that wasn't for the want of trying. A great comeback, and certainly shows that Exertus learned from their mistakes in the previous round and were able to then capitalise on what they learned from that to their advantage and actually turn it around and give Brutality Corps, oh dear, a little bit more of a battle than they had in the previous round. So you can see now, look at the ticket numbers starting to even up, but as you said, much too late unfortunately. Don't think it's going to be enough, and now we're looking at a situation where you can see Kotko in there as well. Looks like he's in with his law and will be ready to defend it as quickly as possible, or defend that point. The C point in the process of staying defended, the D point being attacked by a combination of Brutality Corps and also Exertus. Phantom being taken down as we go through the smoke. King Revo also being finished off by Lemniacs, and you can see yet more fire going on between these two teams as more fire coming in from the American chopper. 14 tickets to 30. Definitely not going to be enough, as you said before, but very, very close indeed, and a good game overall, wouldn't you say, Dogbert?
I think they've done very well. I think Exertus really could have locked down the map better on the first round. They had Brutality Corps in a really sticky situation, and unfortunately they weren't able to keep a lid on this Polish team, and they paid for it.
Yes, indeed they did. Indeed they did. So,